I was 3 months pregnant when it happened. But they didn't know. They didn't even care to ask. My name is Anita, and this is the story of how I was called a witch, humiliated, and thrown out of my matrimonial home, only for fate to turn everything around. Marriage was never perfect, but I endured everything for love. Even when my mother-in-law moved in and started controlling everything, including my bedroom. She didn't like me. She never did. She called me names. Barren witch, she'd hiss. All because I hadn't conceived in 2 years. She didn't know that I had suffered 3 miscarriages. She didn't know that I had just found out I was pregnant again. I was planning a surprise for my husband, Emeka, the love of my life, or so I thought. But that day, instead of celebrating, I came home to something else entirely. It was supposed to be a normal day. I had just returned from the hospital, holding tightly to the envelope containing my pregnancy scan. I was smiling to myself. Finally, after everything, I was pregnant again. I was going to surprise Emeka that evening. Maybe cook his favorite meal, egusi soup with pounded yam, and then give him the envelope after dinner. I even rehearsed what I would say in front of the mirror. I was excited, hopeful, ready. But when I got to the gate, I knew something was off. The sound of drums filled the air. Women were ululating. Men were clapping and laughing. The compound was full of guests. I stood frozen. Was someone celebrating a birthday? Or had I missed a funeral? Then I saw my husband, my Emeka, smiling, holding a wine calabash and standing beside a young lady in a red lace wrapper and coral beads. Her makeup was thick, her smile even thicker. She looked like a bride. My heart dropped. I pushed my way through the crowd, trembling, confused. My voice shook as I asked the first face I recognized. "What's going on here? Who is she?" They looked at me with pity. Or was it mockery? Before I could say another word, my mother-in-law stormed out of the crowd like a lioness ready for battle. She shouted so loudly the drummers paused. "So you're still here? You've refused to leave our son alone? You barren witch. After wasting 2 years of his life, you still have the guts to show your face." People turned to stare. Some laughed. Some whispered. Others looked away in shame. I tried to speak. I tried to defend myself. "Mama, please. I'm pregnant," I whispered, voice breaking. But before the words could land, she slapped me so hard my ears rang. "Pregnant with what? Lies again. You said that last year and still came back empty. This is the real woman. She's already carrying twins. Not your dead womb." My husband stood silently. No protest. No defense. Just silence. And then, he said the words that shattered what was left of me. "Anita, please respect yourself. Don't embarrass us. This is my wife now. You've been replaced." My legs failed me. I stood in the middle of that compound like a ghost, invisible to the man I once called my husband. The man I had fasted and prayed for. The man I almost died for during our last miscarriage. Now he looked at me like I was the embarrassment. Like I was some stranger who had crashed a party uninvited. My lips trembled. "Emeka," I whispered. "I'm carrying your child, please." But before I could complete my sentence, his mother lunged forward, her eyes burning with rage. "You still have the audacity to lie? You evil woman. You will not use this lie to tie down my son again. Pack your things and leave this house today, or I will strip you naked and throw you out with my own hands." I gasped. The same house I had built with Emeka. The same house I decorated, scrubbed, painted, and called home. Now I was being dragged like a thief from it. 2 of her sisters joined in. They stormed into the house, threw out my box of clothes, scattering my personal things across the sand like trash. My undies. My wedding album. My framed pregnancy test kit. Everything. Emeka watched. His new bride stood beside him, smirking, one hand protectively resting on her belly as if mocking my womb. I knelt. I begged. Tears flowed like a river. "Even if you don't want me anymore, don't throw me out like this. I'm carrying life inside me. Your child." But my words fell on deaf ears. They didn't just want me gone. They wanted to erase me completely. As they threw the last of my belongings on the ground, Emeka said one final thing. You can't force love, Anita. Please don't make this harder than it already is. Just go. I stood up slowly, my heart breaking with every step. Pregnant, humiliated, betrayed, and now homeless. I picked what I could carry, dusted my torn dignity off the ground, and walked away. With swollen feet, an aching back, and blurry vision, I walked into the night. No destination. No one to call. Just me and my unborn child. I thought I would collapse and die. But God, He saw me, and He sent help in the most unexpected form. The road was dark. The streetlights barely worked, and each step felt like a punishment. I held my lower back with one hand and my belly with the other, silently praying for strength. Every breath hurt. Every movement reminded me that I had just been betrayed by the two people I trusted most, my husband and his mother. Then, my legs gave way. I collapsed near a gutter beside the road. I couldn't feel my legs anymore. My vision faded. I remember whispering, God, please don't let me die here. Not like this. Not with my baby. And then, everything went dark. When I woke up, I was lying on a small mattress in a tiny room. There was a kerosene lantern glowing dimly in the corner. The air smelled like herbal balm and boiled rice. I was alive. A kind-faced woman in her early 60s sat beside me, fanning me gently. Thank God you're awake, she said softly. My daughter saw you lying on the roadside. We brought you here. You were bleeding and unconscious. But God is merciful. Her name was Mama Taitai, a widow who ran a small local canteen. She nursed me like her own daughter, fed me, cleaned me, helped me go to the clinic for antenatal care. She didn't know me, but she gave me what my own family-in-law denied me, love and kindness. 3 months later, I gave birth. It was a rainy night. Thunder roared. The midwife panicked. I screamed and cried for hours. And then, like light breaking through the clouds, I heard it. A cry. A strong, powerful cry. A healthy baby boy. Chikamso. It means God knows in Igbo. Because truly, only God knew the tears I cried, the battles I fought, and the pain I buried. I looked into his eyes and whispered, You are my reason to live. You are proof that I am not barren. You are my vengeance. Mama Taitai stood by me like a mother. She offered me a small space beside her canteen where I could sell baby items. At first, it was slow. I sold baby wipes, small bottles, second-hand clothes. But I was determined. I treated every customer with love and respect. Soon, people began to trust me. Word spread. What started as a table grew into a shop. Then 2. Then 3. I opened a baby store in the heart of town, and even started an online page for deliveries. God didn't just restore me. He lifted me higher than I had ever been. I bought a small car, then a piece of land. Within 5 years, I built a bungalow, beautiful, simple, and filled with peace. I enrolled Chikamso in one of the best schools. He was growing fast. Intelligent, respectful, joyful, just like his name. Time passed like a river, flowing, healing, washing away old wounds. My son, Chikamso, grew into a brilliant young boy, top of his class, gentle with his words, fierce in his spirit. He had his father's eyes, but thank God, not his heart. I built a life for us, not perfect, but peaceful. I had made peace with my past. I had forgiven, but I hadn't forgotten. Then one evening, just as the sun dipped behind the horizon and cast a golden glow over my compound, I heard a knock at the gate. Not just any knock, a weak, slow, uncertain knock. The kind that carries shame. My heart skipped. I peeped through the window and froze. There he was, Emeka, my ex-husband. The man who once called me a disgrace, now looking like a shadow of himself. He was lean, his clothes faded, his eyes swollen from either tears or suffering. And behind him, an older woman slouched on a plastic chair, struggling to breathe, his mother. She looked nothing like the woman who once danced and called me a witch. Her wrapper was torn at the edges. Her eyes, sunken. Her pride, gone. And beside them, in a faded nylon bag, was a file. Hospital documents. They had come to beg. I stepped out of the house, dressed in a clean white kaftan. My car keys jingled in my hand. My son stood behind me, curious but quiet. Emeka dropped to his knees immediately. Anita, please. I know I don't deserve it, but forgive me. His voice cracked. I lost everything. The woman I married after you ran away with another man. Left me childless and broke. Mama is sick. We need help. We need Chikamso. My mother-in-law began to cry. Real tears this time. My daughter, I wronged you. I see it now. You were never barren. I chased away the blessing God gave us. Please, let us see him. Let me see my grandson before I die. Their words cut deep. Not because I still hurt, but because they were too late. I looked at Chikamso. His innocent eyes stared back at the people who once called his mother a witch. I turned to them and spoke calmly. You didn't just reject me. You rejected the blessing that came with me. The same womb you cursed brought forth the boy you now kneel before. Emeka wept. Please, Anita. I've suffered. God knows I regret everything. Just let me be part of his life. Please. I took a deep breath. You see this boy? I pulled Chikamso gently forward. This is my son. I raised him without a father, without your help. And by God's grace, he lacks nothing. He is not a trophy to be claimed out of convenience. They sobbed. But I wasn't moved. I had prayed for this moment, not for revenge, but for closure. I forgive you, I said, my voice firm. But forgiveness doesn't mean access. Go in peace. Whatever seeds you planted, you are now harvesting. I turned back and walked away. This time, I didn't cry. I closed the gate, not just physically, but spiritually. And behind that gate, I reclaimed my peace, completely. As I closed the gate behind me that evening, a strange silence fell upon my compound. Not the silence of fear or uncertainty, but the kind that comes after a storm has passed. I sat quietly in my living room, watching my son Chikamso play with his Lego bricks on the tiled floor. His laughter filled the room like sunlight. The same boy they once denied. The child they never believed existed. Now the very child they came crawling to see. But they were too late. Later that night, after I tucked him into bed, I sat outside with a warm cup of tea in my hands. Mama Taitai came to sit beside me. She had grown older now, but her heart was still gold. You handled it well, my daughter, she said softly, patting my knee. Many women would have cursed them. You chose dignity. I smiled, but my eyes watered. Mama, they shattered me. They broke me into pieces. But those same pieces built this version of me. She nodded slowly, her eyes shining with quiet pride. And that's why you're stronger now. Not bitter, but better. In the days that followed, Emeka tried to reach out again. He sent messages. He came to the house, stood at the gate. He even sent a pastor. But my decision stood firm. I had moved on. I wasn't the broken girl who begged him for love. I was a woman who built her empire from ruins. I was a mother, a survivor, a conqueror. And my son? He was my greatest reward. One Sunday after church, Chikamso asked me, Mummy, who was that man crying at our gate the other day? I paused, smiled softly, and replied, someone who didn't know your worth until it was too late. He nodded and returned to his toy car. I watched him play and whispered a quiet prayer of gratitude. Because the truth is, rejection was my redirection. Betrayal was my breakthrough. The same people who mocked my tears now begged for my mercy. But I chose peace over revenge. And that was my final victory. Closing narration, for voiceover use. To every woman who's been called names, thrown out, or cast aside, remember this. You are not what they called you. You are not your pain. You are purpose. You are strength. And one day, those who rejected you will regret it.